Okay, hello, welcome back to another video. Today I'm playing against the move knight to f3, the flippin' Reti, because my opponent for some reason thinks they're extremely mature. I'm joking, nothing but respect for my opponent. However, disrespect with the gambit that I'm about to play. g5 here is a freaky move that I often play in bullets just because, I mean, your opponent will have probably pre-moved like, I don't know, g3 here, and then you can just get a quick g4 in. But I think this is legitimately a gambit. I think it's known as maybe the Hairstrom gambit or something like this. We're going to follow up with e5 here. Of course, we've got some nice tempo on this knight. They could defend the knight with the bishop, or they could just move the knight back. If they do move the knight back, I'm very tempted by just playing e4, and there's probably some interesting tempo there. I should probably look into this gambit a little more, to be honest, because it does seem kind of interesting. I'm going to claim the full center here. I can develop like this. I can maybe even kick the knight with f6 at some point, although that does seem a little dangerous. Okay, now they go back, so I can't play e4 straight away. That makes sense. e4 here, takes. They just trade the queens. Clearly not a very good idea. Knight c6, though, defending the pawn. Hell yeah. Now, I would imagine they go for g3, bishop g2, and kingside castles. Although the open g file may change their mind, I'd have imagined that that was their original plan when they played knight to f6. Although bishop here does just give me f6 for free, and I'm going to play it. Because yes, f6 really weakens this diagonal to my king, but you can't access that until you move one pawn and a knight. And by that time, I will be long gone onto the queen side. I'm going to play bishop e6 here, queen d7, queenside castles, and be absolutely Chilean like Seabass. Hell yeah, queen d7, unpinned from this. And now, I mean, we've just got a nice stable center. Bishop g5 kind of made no sense because it just gave us the tempo to play f6. Now, our opponent could move their knight and move the queen and try and castle queenside. They do go for e4 here. Now, I'd love to be able to play knight g7, such that after they take, I can take with the knight and kind of have a very Yugoslav-esque attack, although that's generally with white against the Sicilian. This is very, very, very different. Although a very similar setup with black symmetrically opposite. Anyway, problem is if I do this, I of course lose my pawn on f6. I think I will just castle queenside though. I mean, if you take here, I can take. I don't really want to push past, at least immediately, just because I think the direction in which your central pawn chain points is often the direction in which the easiest attack can kind of flow. For instance, look, the bishops would be very easily point towards the queen side, and I'd imagine my opponent's going to end up on the king side here. So instead of doing this, I'd kind of rather they take and maybe we take like this, and then the bishop pointing this way, for instance. Although a3 seems a little odd. I guess maybe you're just going to prepare b4 and get after it, fair enough. I clearly need to develop these pieces. I'm thinking bishop e7 makes some sense to break this pin here, but actually maybe my knight belongs on e7. Opponent is not committing their king to anywhere particular. Bishop c5 just walks into tempo for b4. The option to take here, by the way, just kind of lets their knight in here. That doesn't seem very strong. Honestly, h5 doesn't seem to be very unreasonable. You know what? Hell yeah, we're playing h5. I'm going to scare you off from castling this way, and also kind of scare you off from castling this way. I mean, you could play queen e2 and go that way, but then I think I will play d4, and we will have some very nice, powerful bishops looking over here. Bishop e2, though, does signify you're probably going this way. So how about a little bishop e7, a little knight h6, a little rook d to g8, perhaps even, I dare to dream, knight g4, maybe even bishop h3, pressure on here. I mean, we have an attack should you go this way. If you, okay, very, very early. Respect though, I guess I can't draw back this way now, so b5 might be a more meaningful threat. I kind of still want to do this. If you played here, I could maybe go like this. Takes here. Doesn't seem entirely unreasonable, but also not that pleasant. Man, I wish I could slide my rook over already. I guess I could put the rook on the f file actually, such that after this I can drop back here, and then eventually swing the knight out maybe into e6 or into f7. I'm going to start with rook f8, I think. Maybe putting the other rook on the h file and eventually breaking with f5 could make some sense. I do just want to open up a nice, or at least a half reasonable retreating square for my knight. I don't want to go back into b8. That's clearly not going to give me a whole lot of activity, but swinging this way towards the king side could definitely make some sense. Again, my opponent should be very scared to castle here, but also they're not castling this way, and also if you don't castle, I mean, actually, not castling is probably their best bet here. I've definitely done something a little weird though. Maybe bishop e7 was a little odd. Okay, queen c1. Wow. I'm just gonna fairly quickly go for this. They might be trying to play c4. In fact, they maybe almost certainly are trying to play c4. Play h3 to prevent my knight hopping in. Okay. I do think it's very tempting to play f5. I mean, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces screaming that f5 is a reasonable move here. Or we take here first, because if knight takes, then f5 is kind of for free. Knight here, bishop takes, pawn takes, break through further, put the rook on the g-file. Ooh, I like this. Although this way you take with the pawn and it's not so obvious. Okay, we're playing f5 straight away. Don't exactly know what's going on, but this is held. No, it's not going to be held. Oh, everything's falling apart. that was the absolute, that was the stabilizer. What have I done? Nah, I still think I'm good. I think my king is fundamentally safer. I think I've got a whole lot of development going on, and I think you're not castled. And if you do castle, it's not exactly to a safe haven on the g-file. Now, I'm sure there is some tactical continuation here which will cause me a massive headache and maybe severe loss of pieces. I don't want to take like this because then this pawn just hangs straight away with tempo on the queen. So I'll take like this, but you can kick the knight to then take the pawn. Although actually b5, maybe we take like this. You take the knight, we take like this. Take here with check, king b8. Use the pawn as an umbrella so that they don't have an open b file. Honestly, I've heard more ridiculous ideas. I have heard more ridiculous ideas. We go here, there's this. We take here, here, here. Actually, this doesn't seem bad either. I like my position. I actually like my position. Here, if takes, I take like this. Surely this is problematic here. Stuff's getting opened up. Here, here. I take the bishop. You recapture because there's tempo on the queen here. I feel like I should be threatening some f takes with maybe a discovered check and picking up this and just tearing stuff open. Here, 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 here. This is risky for sure. And if they support the pawn and then like get a knight to a6, I'm toasted. I think I'm just going to send it with knight to d4. I think letting that happen would have been a little too risky. They do go for this. Now, I don't have to take here straight away, but like, it does seem very tempting. The king is then locked in the center. Or I just take here first. Nah, I like this. This has to be a good idea, right? Okay, the king now has to come to e2. You must assume, you simply must assume that I'm doing well here. Takes. If an open f file is not going to serve me well, I don't know what will. Okay, a triple fork though may not serve me that well at all. Although, no, there's no way this is good. I could just probably sack a rook or something. Oh, hold on, there's this as well. I'm thinking I could legitimately sack a rook, king takes, and then go check. King moves, recapture the knight, probably actually be winning there somehow, but also check. And if this, we go double check. Here, here. Double check. You have to move when it's a double check. You can't block both. Your only legal move will be this. Check. Here. Check. This must work. This just has to work. And if here and you take with the king, we just go bishop here, at the very least. So here, here, double check, king here. Yeah, I just refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that this isn't completely winning. Or they move the king straight away. That makes some sense. However, we can now still go for our idea of rook takes f2. I didn't even think about that though, to be completely honest. Rook takes f2, king takes, and then queen f6. See, it's not fantastic though. Do we just play queen f6 first? Threatening a mate, but then you just take here and I take. Okay. I do like rook takes f2. We're going to blow this all open. I mean, the whole point of this game has been that their king is going to be weak. I don't know exactly what the exchange is going to be here. I think we're only down 1 point of material, although I'm not quite sure how that actually manifests. The check here is clearly now the right move. What is it? That I have a bishop and a pawn for a rook? Is that the trade? Of course you can't block, which is important. You can block with this knight though, I guess. And yeah, now I of course recapture the pony. Right, I have a bishop and a pawn for a rook, but this king is significantly weaker. I now only have a bishop for a rook. Although I can take here, but that doesn't feel like it should be my priority right now. Especially when I have like this rook coming to one of these two very appealing looking squares. Also eventually this and this. Don't have a whole lot of time though. Okay, we can start with this because you have to address that, and I don't see a way to do that that's that pleasant really. I'm thinking actually probably we should take this because then we, I don't know, we at very least have a passed pawn. Also, this knight coming into f5 to then look at very, very weak squares here could be awesome. Knight f5 and this, and then posting the knight somehow on e3, or even taking this pawn and doing some more interesting stuff. I'm just going to trust the fact that that's a good move. I maybe should have taken that pawn. I don't know how I feel about that actually. How I feel about that decision I just made. We can bring the pony over though. That has to be a good idea. Right, this and this, huge. Absolutely immense threat. Immense threat. You can't bring your queen to these squares on this diagonal here. What are you going to do? Play this yourself? Could be a pretty great idea for my opponent here to just play d4 themselves, to not allow me to play d4. That's really annoying actually. Okay, we just step back. We just step back. This is still a threat though. This is a hugely soft square. A hugely soft square indeed. d4 and some check would be fantastic. Presumably. What the hell, man? Get off my bishop. Just trying to have a nice time and this guy's just bullying my bishop. Check. Let's start with check. Drive you to a dark square at least. Here, I don't think I have a check. But here I can maybe go check. Bring the bishop back, try and take here. If they go here, what's my move? They do go up there, that's interesting. Queen to b6 now, presumably. They could just push, but, you know, we avoid the queen trade with a bit of tempo at least. Bring the knight back with a check. And it's now posted here? That seems pretty reasonable. You don't want to go here because I can take it with check. I maybe go queen a5. I think I just bring the bishop and go here. And if you play a4, we can still take because of a pin maybe. Unless you bring the king up. It's a ridiculous game of chess. As per basically all the games of chess that I play on this channel. They do tend to be ridiculous. Bishop here and rook here as well seems to be a good idea. And if we just keep the rook on the back rank and the bishop on this diagonal, our king's just uncheckable. Whereas their king is, as you've seen, clearly very checkable. Right, bishop here. rook here potentially, and there's this. So we get bishop here with tempo, stepping out the way of the possible threat. Rook here, you eventually move the queen, we then have some discovery. You must assume that we're winning here. You simply have to assume that we're winning here. It's just by what tactical denouement are we going to actually convert the game? Thing is, 36 seconds. Despite my love of square numbers, this is not bringing me much joy. Hold on. Check. I'm just going to do that because we can still play rook e8 after. Yeah, no, this is held. Fine. Here. Dude, what the hell? Hold on, why didn't I take this? Oh, I maybe should have taken that. Still, rook e8 can't be a bad idea, right? Look, what discovery am I threatening when the queen moves? Here? Seems a good way to block the check. We are going to have a discovery. I don't know what it's going to do for us. That's what it's going to do for us. Yes, please. Ja, bitte. Vielen Dank, mein Freund. Dankeschön. Maybe I should have taken this as well. 20 seconds and an absolute dream. 20 seconds and an absolute dream. Check. Check. Here, maybe. They definitely just post this here or something. Put the... yeah, okay, fine. Maybe this. I should have slid over this way, actually. Oh, that would have been such a good move. Oh, well. We must not dwell on the past. We simply must not dwell on the past. Because there's the future to live. Do you know what I mean? You've got to live in the present. As I take a single droplet of a sip from my glass, I'm frankly parched. You know, you tend to lose a lot of body water when you're playing with such heat. And that is how it's done. Mating with the knight, I mean, let's analyze that game. Oh my lord, what the hell was that? I mean, I'm extremely happy with that game nevertheless. It was very fun and very aggressive, and the finish, of course, was magnificent. The composure under time pressure. But looking at this graph, there were some severe missed wins. Not so many blunders. I mean, the most winning they ever were was plus 2.5, which was, yeah, I had less than a minute left. Okay, but it does seem that, for instance, after king f1, I missed a move. Also played a couple blunders. Let's just go through the game because that was clearly a mess. I mean, of course, we started with a mistake. The Herstrom Gambit, I think I was right with the name, right? Yeah, the Herstrom Gambit, here we go. Played it 4 times at master level. They take, I play e5. They play d3, I claim the full center, and all of a sudden, actually, plus 0.8, we're back to a fairly normal evaluation. Our opponent having played a little passively, knight c6 here, and then after the bishop, there we play f6. And actually, I think I handled this opening fantastically. Bishop e6, queen d7, and a nice queenside castles, and we have a very, very marginal advantage. So, okay, opening, awesome stuff. They go for a3, a little bit slow, preparing b4, fair enough. I play h5, actually a really good move. And then here, bishop e7 was not so good. Probably because we, I don't know, needed that knight to come back here. Or I guess as well, just the bishop had a nice long diagonal to be on here, and I didn't really even consider that. We could have then developed this knight this way, even coming to g6, tempo on here, maybe then knight f4, etc. And I think it was actually at this point, I don't know, I think I did credit bishop e7 with being the point at which things felt a little shaky. I then played rook f8, inaccurate, but I wanted somewhere to drop the knight back. Didn't really fancy taking here, even though the engine says it's the best move, because, I mean, after they take... I guess, actually, was I even thinking about ideas of f5 at this point? Because I definitely considered this at some point. I think it was maybe a couple moves later, where I played knight here, then f5, although that was a mistake, because I should have played king b8. Okay, dude. I mean, you say mistake, +1. It's a nice explosive move. We go here, then we jump into the center, although taking here was actually best. And then b takes, we take here, they take, king b8, of course, knight takes here, and I was thinking maybe e4 in this line, but apparently knight f7. Dude, shut up. What? Defending the pawn? That is so lame. Okay, no way on earth I was ever going to play knight f7 if I got to this position. I was probably going to try and launch an attack with e4 and just, you know, put a queen here and be extremely aggressive, as we kind of ended up doing after putting the knight here. They took, which was a blunder. Okay, I then take the bishop, taking here, and then taking here, which was the correct tactical find. Had they taken like this, it would have been, I'm pretty sure, over for them after bishop to g4. Yeah, bishop g4, only legal move. Here, only legal move. Here, only legal move. I mean, just absolutely forced stuff. I even have this move here that's filthy. Maybe even some knight g4 at some point, open the h-file, come on. This is actually like a forced mate though, because if you take here, it is just check. You have no moves, and then after this, oh my lord, look. Knight here, sack, knight here, here, mate, I think? after the queen sacks itself? Something like this. Anyway, of course, after I took, they instead decided to go for this. I then played rook f2, okay. So it was better for me to go queen f2 here, be threatening the mate, and then even if they take here, we can just play rook f8. They play knight f3, for instance. Oh, and I can take on c2, and they can't immediately recapture because the rook's hanging. So then maybe we can sort of secure that pawn there and look to actually try and promote. I mean, this wasn't on my mind at all. So I don't hate my little rook sacrifice here. We kind of weakened the king a little more, which ended up being quite nice. They take this way. Of course, this was very dubious stuff. They instead should have tried to trade the queens here. Instead, I get my rook on the g file, and apparently we've got zeros on the evaluation right now. There's maybe some perpetual somewhere, but they go back, which is a blunder because I had bishop h3. Oh, obviously I had bishop h3, and if you take, I can just take this, and then you have to move, and I take this, and you're definitely mated here, or just losing a queen at the very least. And if bishop h3, and imagine you try and defend this with like the rook, we can take here because of the pin. Okay, not thinking about bishop h3 was definitely dumb. Instead, playing knight here. I mean, blunder, but definitely a missed win. You know, it goes back to zeros. This idea of d4 and knight here was definitely very interesting. I just missed this tactic with bishop h3. The queen comes across. Queen here, not so good. I should have gone queen g6 to, I guess, maintain the pressure on g2 probably. And then we give the check. Queen b6, and I'm actually doing quite badly because they can go here. I guess my attack kind of falls apart a little, but after they push the pawn, I then have the check. And now, if we look at the graph, now I'm winning. So with less than a minute left on the clock, we've got a weak king, and we kind of just position our pieces correctly, trust the process, and from here, actually convert like an absolute wizard. With 45 seconds in this position, they move the king, we go check, bring the bishop back, then we take here with check, the king goes up, rook e8, although I definitely should have played queen takes a3, I realised that just too late, because this is the only move that doesn't just hang a rook in one move. Oh, and then we have rook f8 because the knight holds these two squares and the pawn holds this one. So queen f5, and then we can take, and obviously this king is not long for the world. Anyway, missing taking on a3 was kind of stupid. However, rook here was still completely winning. They should have tried to trade everything off like this. And after takes, I don't know, maybe even a check, I go here. And at this point, I only have an extra bishop and probably like 20 seconds on the clock and maybe don't win the game. However, they try to save the queen. Instead, bringing the bishop back, they take... The hell is that a blunder? Oh, we should have gone for queen a3 anyway. Okay, I mean, this is all 20-second stuff. This isn't a blunder, you know? Just because you miss out on a mate in 7 for a free queen. Okay, I guess it's not free, actually. I'm getting a bit butt hurt, as they say in America. But we bring the knight back. We bring the bishop across. Bring the queen in here, take this, take here, check, and mate. A very nice way to end an incredibly aggressive tactical skirmish. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this game. I definitely enjoyed playing it, even though it wasn't the most smooth, accurate journey to checkmate. If you did enjoy the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.